This is the Game Industry Events Podcast by Events for Gamers, one of the only exclusive game industry event calendars covering global industry events, including conference series like DevGAMM Events. I am the CEO and founder of Events for Gamers, and joining me today is Maria Chyrvona, CEO at DevGAMM. Hi, Maria. How are you doing? And I did not actually ask you if how to pronounce your last name. I hope I got close.
Hi, Matthew. Thank you. You got it just right. Yeah, my last name is hard to pronounce. It's actually like a mix of Ukrainian and Belarusian, so I totally understand when people mix it up. But yeah, thank you so much for welcoming us to this podcast. We're really happy to be here. I'm really happy to be here to talk about events, DevGAMM, gaming industry, and all that stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. And you mentioned you're partly from Ukraine, is that right?
I'm completely from Ukraine. It's just my last name is mixed. But yeah, I've been born in Ukraine. I lived there for many years, but now for 5 years now I'm in Latvia, in Riga, so in the Baltics. But yeah, my heritage is Ukrainian and I'm from there. Yeah.
So how is it in Eastern Europe?
It is challenging. My parents are still in Ukraine. I've been visiting. I've just been there recently. It is hard to see country at war. It's still, I'm so proud of how people can live their lives, continue to live their lives despite all the, all the bombings, alarms, everything. But yeah, it's still life continues and we're battling our battles. Yeah, this invasion, this war, it's actually touched everyone, especially all the countries that are bordering Russia and Ukraine. Like you can feel it in Latvia, but I'm really grateful to support that Latvia and all the Baltic countries provided for Ukraine during from the start of the war. So
I have not personally been to Eastern Europe, but farthest I've been in Europe is Germany. But I do intend to make it over there because I hear it's beautiful and the culture is amazing in all those Eastern European countries.
but yeah, the culture in Ukraine or like Eastern Europe, the Baltic states, where we do DevGAMM, like we do Lithuania or Poland, those are amazing countries. And I really hope that you can visit us someday and see through DevGAMM eyes, like how vibrant all those cities that we do our events are. The food is great, all the people are good. People are very welcoming. People are warm, and that's the nicest part. And the gaming industry there is developing very quickly, despite everything that's going on.
That's good to hear. I was wondering how the game industry was affected by everything that's happening, and not to mention just the game industry in the world with COVID happening and that affecting everybody all across the world, and the game industry getting an interesting spurt of growth really from the COVID period, and now we're kind of seeing a slump, and so there's a lot of changes there. Uh, what have you seen for the game industry in terms of Ukraine and in general for Europe?
Yeah, so with Ukraine, I think it's the hardest part because after the war, a lot of people still had to stay in Ukraine because the guys still make the biggest part of the industry are not allowed to leave Ukraine. And a lot of them actually are being on the battlefield. I know so many friends or like friends of a friends who's been part of the war and actively participating. Despite all that, despite the energy being out, sometimes you don't get the, I don't know, the lighting for the whole day at your apartment or in your office. People are still doing their jobs. And we do have a colleague, our financial director is in Lviv, so he stayed in Ukraine. He's been working with DevGAMM all alone for many years now. And yeah, he still manages to do his job despite everything. And our Alina, head of games, is also there. She stayed with her family. People continue working, and I kind of feel bad when people say, "Hey, Ukraine is so risky. Let's not invest. Let's not support those teams." And that's what's happening. Yeah, people like companies in Europe, they kind of hesitate to hire Ukrainians remotely even, or to invest in the Ukrainian game development since the risk are so high. You never know what happened to one person or another, to the company in total. But It's still there are so many incredible, talented people in the gaming industry in Ukraine that's been doing like game projects, outsourcing, and still trying to survive. The Ukrainian market has been growing a lot before the war and during COVID times, and I really hope that after Ukraine is finished with the war, it can grow and flourish once again, because I believe at that point the investments are going in to the country, because it's like everyone will want to invest.
DevGAMM. Let's talk about the events in general. As the name suggests, it's an event series, and what's exciting about the Vilnius event that's coming up in just my goodness, in a little over a month, June 14th to the 15th.
Yeah, it's getting very close. Yeah, DevGAMM, it's all in the name. It's developers and games. It's our variety of games. But we've always been about developers. We started like 15 years ago. This year is going to be 16 years. It's a lot. It started as a Flash gathering, like for Flash game developers, and then it turned into a bigger thing. We've been big in Eastern Europe. Like we've done events in Ukraine, in Belarus, and in Russia. But after the war, it's not possible anymore. We are never coming back to Russia or Belarus, but we plan to do events in Ukraine.
You mentioned 15, 16 years. That's exactly how long we've been developing events for gamers.
Yeah, that's like we have kind of the same history,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think DevGAMM was one of the first events, maybe not literally the first, but definitely early on in our listing of events in our calendar. So you've been with us for a long time.
Yeah, well, when I was a PR manager and I started at DevGAMM as a PR manager, I was looking for calendars, and yours was the first one I probably found, or we had it in the listing somewhere. So I remember working with you for all of my 10 years in DevGAMM. So so yeah, that's very nice. Very nice to have been a part of you. Yeah.
So the city of Vilnius, what's it like? I hear there's a hot air balloon festival there.
Yeah, it's the hot air balloon. You get a lot of that. It's a visiting part, of Vilnius. It's the city is very green. It's considered one of the greenest in the Baltics. It's very young, I would say, compared, to Riga or to Tallinn, to other Baltic
Like young
capitals.
as in the population or
The
the
population is very young. It's they have a lot of good universities, so they have a lot of talented, future developers. I think of any kind. They do have a good education there in Vilnius, and it's very it's vibrant. It has a lot of restaurant like Riverside. It's just beautiful. I really like Vilnius. Don't tell Riga that, but I really like Vilnius, and yeah, they have a very good game development scene there as well. So a lot of companies, there have been many local Lithuanian companies, and some of the Belarusian companies moved after 2020, all the Lukashenko election debacle. So they kind of helped boost the industry as well. So I think it's growing, it's developing, like a lot of new projects keep popping up. Yeah, it's very nice.
That's awesome. I have a grandfather clock behind me. It may ding once in a while. I don't know if anybody can hear that, but there it is. Keeps me on track for sure. So the Vilnius is beautiful. You've got an event coming up for it in June. Who should attend, and what are the networking opportunities for folks who do attend your events?
Yeah, so DevGAMM has everything that you would expect from a B2B conference. We have a business area, we have a meeting system, we do have different kind of like random networking opportunities. But we are doing something different this year in Vilnius. We decided to experiment, since the city is like so open to experiments, and it's gonna be the first DevGAMM that we're doing inside and outside. So we do have two areas, and yeah, we imagined, after doing it for 2 years already, we saw how sponsors and participants, they wanted something summary. It was always in June or in July. They wanted to take advantage of that being green, summer, outside. They, like you mentioned, hot air balloons. And one company, they brought a model of hot air balloon for photos. Like we had ice cream, but
Oh,
everything
you're
was
speaking
inside
my
the
language now. Ice cream.
yeah. And the companies did it inside the hotel that we rented for the conference. But for this year, we kind of thought, yeah, why do it in the stuffy hotel? Let's do it like inside, outside. We found a new venue, and we are pushing sponsors and booths to be creative. We are bringing the best of B2C event, not making it B2C, but bringing the festival vibes, into DevGAMM. So trying to do like board games area,
Oh,
the
board games
area
too. Nice.
for like karaoke or open air barbecue. So we don't want a regular party. We want a Lithuanian group on stage, playing in the evening outside, to
Nice.
creating this
Well, I will
atmosphere.
definitely attend if you have an ice cream stand.
We do.
For
Please
people who
come.
don't know, it's like, why the heck is he talking about ice cream? This guy is a weirdo. I love ice cream. I love all types. I will follow wherever you are if you have ice cream. Just my favorite food. What can I say? Is it food? I don't know.
It is food, especially if you can get on it the whole day. And we do have an ice cream machine, an ice cream man. He's very lovely. We've been working with him for several years now. He serves ice cream like no one does,
Well,
with a
here's a
smile.
challenge for you. I will give you right now the most unique conference setting you'll ever have. Hot air balloons all up in the sky with ice cream as you're talking about the event. It's all in the sky all day.
Yeah, and we were thinking small, like bringing some, flamingos that you can take photo with, not live flamingos, but doing hot air balloons in the sky with ice cream. Yeah, this is gonna be crazy. We should definitely use that idea.
Well, all these, all the things that you're talking about, you have a variety of things for people to focus on and to do, both the event itself, of course, and watching and listening to the speakers and other things. What about these other events that you or activities, I guess they are, game roast, public pitch? You talk about some of those.
Yeah, we do. As I mentioned at the very beginning, DevGAMM is focused on the developers and creating opportunities for them. So we do have a big showcase area where you can showcase your game. We do have DevGAMM Awards contest and the ceremony during, and the applications are still ongoing. And we also, this year, we introduced like workshops targeted at game design, production, all the things that also not only like participants that are working at the companies could use, but like developers and indie developers can take advantage of. Also have public pitch where people pitch their games for 5 minutes, get feedback. That's all the formats that's kind of standard to most of the events these days, but they actually work. They help developers, find publishers, find investors, find colleagues, teammates, or some maybe outsource help. So that's the event is kind of focused on industry in general. So I wouldn't say it's like any specific. It's not either mobile or PC, it's both. So we've been trying to kind of see if we lean towards like one or another part of the industry, but it's always 50-50 in terms of the audience sensors.
What about students and those who are just getting started in the industry? Is there a place for them at the event?
Yeah, so DevGAMM was always targeted more at middle senior audience, I would say executive audience. But for students, we do think they're a very big part of the industry. They are integral part since they're like at this point, they're students. In few years, they're our participants, they're our fellow colleagues. So we do help them through volunteer program. We have a very big volunteer group, a lot of volunteer roles that we create to get them engaged so they can participate for free, and help us for one day in like the role of their choosing. We also have some student discounts. We try to engage them. We work with the universities, with the local student council to get them on board. Sometimes some of the companies hire students as well for internship and stuff. So we do try to take care of that part of the industry as well. As I mentioned, we are about the industry, the gaming industry in general, and our events differ, I think, with the local market. So in Lithuania, we have one set of developers also connecting Latvian and Estonian developers. And in other parts, like we do also events in Portugal or Poland, there is a different set of developers, studios, companies. And I think it's
Portugal, you
more,
mentioned Lisbon, right?
yeah, Lisbon
Yeah,
event.
yeah. So DevGAMM has another event coming up in Lisbon. Um, so Lisbon and in Vilnius, those are the two main events for this year.
We've already had one more event, so we have 3 shows right now. We had event in Gdańsk in Poland. It was in
Ah,
February. It was a very nice second edition, and we plan to continue working with the Polish
I was going to
industry.
ask you how to pronounce Gdansk, I think.
Gdańsk,
Dansk?
yeah, Gdańsk.
Dansk. Okay, this
Yeah.
podcast is going to be partly on how to speak the local language, everybody. So be ready.
I don't know. I don't speak Polish, but Gdańsk, yeah, it's. I hope I pronounce it also right.
Yeah, when we put it into the calendar, there was many times where I had to, for I don't know why, maybe it's my English speaking. I did GAN because the GD didn't make any sense to me, so I was like, no.
Yeah, but Gdańsk is a lovely show, and it connects us partly to the Polish industry and to Ukrainian industry, because a lot of companies and studios that were able to move before the war, or some like had girls on board, they established their presence in Poland, and they are part of our events. So we do try to, one of our goal or focus, I would say, to connect the communities that we had before. They kind of turned into immigrants, expats. They're trying to find their way into the local communities with the local communities like Polish or Lithuanian or Portuguese, since they are already a good established markets. It's very nice for us to build that connection.
Do you see that connection naturally coming to your events? So the everybody from just the general attendees that want to learn more, the students perhaps, all the way up to the biz dev and those who are speaking at your events, do they just email you and contact you and say, hey, I'd love to attend your event, I'd love to speak at the event, or is there a mix of that and you identifying certain trends and folks who you want to actually reach out to draw to the event?
I think it's both, because you have to be proactive in finding, good leads, good opportunities, reminding people of the event or of the community, and saying, "Hey, Lithuania is a great market. It might be relevant to you to talk to those developers, or find that publisher for your like outsource needs." And this kind of we do have a lot of application coming in for speaking slots, for example. But sometimes we do want to tackle a specific topic. I don't know, like let's talk about industry crisis or something. Who would be a good speaker on that topic? Or we want all topics not to be just game design. We do want some artist or production guys speaking. Let's poke them or ask the companies to bring those topics on board. We're always looking for new trends, cases, problem solution talks. That's what we are good at.
And that
So
applies to
practical
all
stuff.
your events. So
Yes.
what's the real differences between Vilnius and Gdansk, if I got that right again, and the other events? Or they can somebody who wants to go, they go to Vilnius and they love the event. Can they expect the same atmosphere and results in your other events?
Yes, they are different in terms of the audience, because we checked the data. So the amount of people who go to all the 3, it's not very big. It's not as big as people actually expect it to be. It's DevGAMM, it's all the same. It's nothing like that. So it's all focused on as I mentioned, local companies and local communities. So it is different. You will see a way different, people, and you will hear different topics. In Gdansk, we are focused on Poland and, doing this Baltic showcase, everything on the Baltic Sea. In Lithuania, it's different, since we are trying to experiment with the format and combine, education, business, entertainment. And in Lisbon, it's our executive, I would say like VIP event. I would try to do, like, people called us DevGAMM Black, like Uber Black or something like
Oh,
that.
I see.
It's a version of the event where the audience is a bit more on decision-making side, and we do it on a like 5-star hotel near the ocean. It's very lovely. It's beautiful, and the topics and the speakers, and I would say the audience there is way different. So depending on your business development needs or your like needs in finding good talent or developers or connections, you should try all
Yeah,
three and
try
then
all of them.
decide. Try all of them and decide which markets it's more relevant to you, or
We
which
should
audience.
uh and this will be a call out to everybody who's listening as well, that we are going to try to add to our listing of your events a little bit more about the uniqueness of each, because we have a boilerplate we have about, but we want to put all of those great notes on what's unique about them and cross-link them too, which we want to do more of. So I will hit you up on that after our podcast, and we'll make sure that when this goes out, everybody will have all the information they need about all these events that we referenced for them. Let's see. Okay, so you've got all these events happening. I did notice Digital Dragons was mentioned. That's an event in Krakow. Do I have that right?
Yeah, Digital Dragons are our partner event. We don't organize it, so we have, but they're a very nice Polish event, also with GIC, Game Industry Conference, that's in Poznań. And yeah, at this moment there are 3 events like DevGAMM, Digital Dragons, and GIC, all at the different parts of the year, but all covering Polish industry of different, sites. And but no one in Warsaw. It's like Krakow, Poznań, Gdańsk, but no one in Warsaw. It's an interesting thing about Poland.
So all of these events and all these cities, what city around the world that you don't have an event yet in would you want one in?
Oh, that's a tricky question, because when we started out, we didn't want to be a rotating event. We don't want to change like DevGAMMs going to places every time. We want to actually invest in the communities. But one option that we are right now exploring, one beautiful place that we want to do event is Madeira. It's an island of Portugal, and it's a beautiful island, and they have been investing a lot into making it a game development tech community, and we really want to do event there. That's not an announcement yet, but that's like a wishful thinking.
No,
Yes,
this
where do I
question,
want to do an event?
I did
Madeira.
not
It's
prepare you for
beautiful.
that one. This question, for everybody's awareness, is simply one that I was curious about personally. So we do not hold you certainly to that city, but it does sound wonderful if it ever does expand to there. So that's awesome for your events. Speaking of events in the world and the ecosystem, the business of events is one that I think a lot of people would love to learn more about, just kind of how it works and the differences like between US and Europe. What have you seen between just US and Europe?
Yeah, so we've done small editions of DevGAMM in Seattle, like several times by PAX, and we do see a way bigger difference, on how we do things in Europe, for how audience responds. Of course, people in US are more open to events, but it's all focused on GDC, because people already know how to make connections. People already connected. The industry has been there for a while in US. So that's why it feels like GDC or PAX are still those several big things, and you will not find that many smaller shows. Compared to Europe, for example, it's very easy to see events, I don't know, like ours, or events in, I don't know, Slovenia, Croatia, like in all of the cities and all of the countries, you will find their own local event that's like supporting and showcasing the local talent. And that's very nice that you can see the diversity, the difference, a lot of new talented things on a smaller scale, rather than just seeing everything's polished and like sponsored at GDC.
We have seen that difference too. Now that you mention it, it's something that we get a lot of it, little smaller to large events in Europe that we list in our calendar, and there's many. Even though our audience is more heavily US based, I'm pretty sure last time I checked, we have actually by number more European events. That includes conferences and conventions. So like conferences like we're talking about with DevGAMM, but also the conventions for a more casual audience. And that applies to the United States in the terms of being bigger and not as many around those events. So you have the GDC, like you mentioned, for conferences, the PAX for like conventions. And then sometimes there, especially for GDC, there'll be a lot of small conferences that kind of attach themselves to that same time frame and city.
Yeah, it is different, but this year especially the events, since the industry is being hit hard, everyone feels that, and events are being hit hard because it's like we kind of show what the industry is all about at the moment. And well, a lot of major companies, they decided to focus their budgets, for example, their attendance, like on GDC or Gamescom. They like, let's put everything into those two shows and hope we will get a big, big return. But the thing is, a lot of companies decided to do it. So I think in terms of their outreach, they're kind of getting lost a bit. So I believe that next year people will say, hey, let's do like smaller shows instead. Let's go all across Europe. Let's source for those unique developers, new connections. And, because we've already seen that in the industry, it's like, it's a cycle. Everyone like, let's focus on the big, then go for a small.
So these events, are any of yours on site only, or are they hybrid or online as well?
Yeah, we do online ticket, online networking ticket. It will allow you access to our meeting system and see the list participants. You can schedule online meetings. We have a different day for that. We do not stream any of the talks. We still think they are more relevant when you like meet speakers, ask them questions on site. So we do put them on YouTube later on. But since we've done a lot of online events during COVID times, I don't know, like 7, 8 or more, like with 3,000 people attending, we learned a lot, but we still missed that offline part, and we want to create that FOMO effect that all the events strive for. And but still, people are buying online tickets. People want those meetings. People want those unique connections, and that's why we keep doing it, and we see people buying it. So yeah,
that's awesome. I think there's a lot of interest in that. We saw certainly during COVID a big spike in online events, and then it's been dropping off the last half a year. It's really gone for the most part back to on-site events, but there is still a strong hybrid and even online only presence and interest in the community that they want those events. They want to attend and see your event in any way that they can. So speaking of that, the last question I have here, how do you stay updated with the latest trends and advancements in the gaming industry to ensure that the content of these conferences, both on-site and online, remain relevant and insightful for everybody?
Yeah, so first we kind of use the help of advisors. We do have those listed on some of our website, but we have a big network of doing events, for many years, and we try to rely on specialists and professional who can advise us on what's new, what's relevant, who's the good speaker, who has the good case study, because people talk, and that's how you get the best, probably the best talks when someone mentions someone else. But the word of mouth is still the best thing. We also keep up with all, newsletters, different media publications like Games Industry Biz, or like we read it on your blog, we read everywhere we can. We try to gather all that information, sync up, and see what's relevant or what's not. It's very important for us to stay up to date. Yeah.
Well, it was definitely relevant to have you, Maria, on the podcast. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and really hope to see some of your listeners online or offline at DevGAMMs in Vilnius, Lisbon, or Gdańsk. We'll be happy to see you as well there. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure some that are watching and viewing it will definitely check out your events. Thanks everyone for watching and learning more about DevGAMM. Be sure to follow DevGAMM events at DevGAMM on social media. And of course, follow us at Events for Gamers. You can subscribe to youtube.com/events for gamers for more upcoming podcasts just like this one with event special guests, industry leaders, and hopefully Maria back at some point too.
Hopefully, I'll be happy to.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day. Bye bye.